Good evening, everyone. My name is Suzanne Hume. I'm the Educational Director and founder of CleanEarthForKids.org. We have a great presentation for you tonight with lots of resources and actions that you can take. We'll start with Leanna.
Yes, thank you, Suzanne. Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's panel discussion. My name is Leanne, and I'm with Team 1, which is for climate action, sustainability, and renewable energy. At Clean for Kids, we have 6 teams, and social, racial, climate, and environmental justice is a part of all of what we do. If you are a student watching this, you can earn community service by taking notes, creating infographics, art, music, video clips, poetry about what you learned. More information is on our website at cleanforkids.org. If you go to our contest page on our website, you'll see a variety of contests like art, music, writing, poetry, dance, STEM projects, infographics, and so much more. We have many K-12 contests and challenges for everyone to take part in. And if you like to write poetry, we do have a contest for you. You can write poems about our air, water, land, health, animals, and our forests. Here's Anna to tell us about Team 2 and the Protect What You Love contest that anyone can enter on social media and through our website.
Thank you, Anna. Good evening, everyone. My name is Anna, and another contest we have is Protect What You Love. So I also work with Team 2, hence that slide, but Protect What You Love, you can participate by sending us your picture or drawing what you love and why we should protect it. Let's work together, protect our forests, national parks, and wildlife, as well as our clean water, clean air, oceans, rivers, streams, and our health. You can take a picture or draw or write about your favorite animal or place and why we should protect it. We can then post it on our website and social media to bring awareness and work to protect nature and environment. Here's Courtney to talk about why she works so hard to protect what she loves.
I am Courtney and I'm with Team 3. I am also a mom who is very passionate about clean air. I have a 3-month-old daughter who inspires me to continue to fight for clean air. It is important for me to protect children who will be our future generations. I work to protect what I love and work for clean air and environmental protection for all children and families. Public health is very important to me. Today, I would like to talk about the rollback of child seatbelt restraint regulations. On November 2nd, 2020, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration issued a notice of proposed rulemaking that would get rid of testing scenarios involving seat assemblies in older vehicles, removing several tests that meets testing requirements and loosened regulations on owner language and procedures. They are also proposing lowering restrictions on how manufacturers must report height and weight recommendations. In a few minutes, we will talk about wins and great news, but we must be aware of the reality of the latest of what is happening with the Trump administration so we can take action. Here is Liana.
Thank you, Courtney. So yes, we want to make sure that we protect our children, our mothers, and families everywhere, which is why the Protecting What You Love movement and initiative is really important, because we must recognize what we are trying to protect, that way we can work harder to protect it. Thankfully, President-elect Biden has said that he will reverse all of the Trump's rollbacks, so we need to be informed and let people know so this never happens again. Did you know that the Trump administration has a new proposed rule that basically would give an automatic expiration date for regulations issued by the HHS? So we must take action and we must have these protections. So essentially on November 4th of the Department of Health and Human Services, or the HHS, as I mentioned, published a notice of proposed rulemaking to implement these expiration dates, as I mentioned earlier, for the majority of regulations issued by the department. So it goes on to a lot of things, and this is basically they issued this rule to better comply with these requirements, and this rule would mandate that most rules issued by the HHS would expire after a period of 2 to 10 years, unless reviewed by the department. So it's important that we keep...
I was just going to say, Leanna, this is so outrageous. This is so incredibly outrageous. So the idea that the Trump administration has proposed an expiration date for protections is just outrageous. So as you know, guys, you're here with us. We talk about the rollbacks that Trump is doing in his administration. And if it wasn't bad enough with what Courtney shared about rolling back seatbelt and seat safety restraint for infant seats, the idea that our rollbacks our protections have an expiration date. So here you see all these people in the slide working so hard to protect us, our scientists, you know, and people working in so many jobs working to protect us. Anyway, it is just so outrageous. So I just wanted to give you guys my support and tell you that, yes, I'm so grateful as you are that the Trump administration will not be able to continue this work. They've been working so hard to, you know, roll back all of these protections. So, which is just so horrible. So anyway, I just had to say that. So the slide is up with all these people smiling, and I just wanted to say how I just wanted to offer the idea of how happy will these workers be when they can actually, these scientists and these people in all kinds of administrative jobs and, you know, all of these people that have worked their whole lives, gone to school to protect people and wake up every day and go in to protect people, and then had someone do horrific things. So I'm so happy for these people in the pictures and everyone that will be able to actually do their jobs. So anyway, thank you so much for allowing me to share that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I completely agree. It's ridiculous that the expiration date on protect change over time like that in such a short amount of time. These protections are there to protect people and everybody. So I think the expiration date thing is ridiculous. And I'm also thankful that the Trump administration will not be able to do this any further. But as I was saying, it's really important for us to stay up to date and understand all these rules and these regulations and everything going on. So a great thing that you can look at are a bunch of different resources. So up on the slides right now, we have the New York Times article that we recommend. It's on our website. If you go to our website, it'll be on the front page. It's the New York Times. It lists all the completed rollbacks and the all the ones that are in progress, and has like a whole full list explaining it, and it's all categorized as well. We also have two trackers, the Harvard tracker and the Columbia deregulation tracker. Both of these trackers are wonderful for explaining what agencies involved, a summary of it, where the action is, and dates that the actions are being taken. We also have the Brookings Institute tracker, which is a new tracker that we found recently. Also does a great job of showing categories, agencies, and current status. It's not as in-depth, but it is very good for, you know, if you just want some quick information. You also have the Washington Post, which is more information about the rollbacks and why it's important for us to, you know, take note, as well as the Guardian. They also posted something about the Trump administration rollbacks and how they are impacting climate change and our environment overall. And here is Judith to talk about coal ash ponds.
Thank you, Leanna. Okay, so on November 12th, the EPA decided to remove the requirement for lining coal ash ponds. The lining basically prevents the coal ash from seeping into the ground. And so without the lining of the coal ash ponds, this would be a serious threat to human health. So coal ash, if you don't know, is what is left over after coal is burned and is one of the biggest sources of industrial waste. Most of it is stored in landfills or ponds, which were required to have a protective liner. The liners were needed because coal ash is full of toxins like mercury and arsenic. So without the liners, those toxic chemicals will get into the soil and water. So about mercury, the EPA also rolled back mercury emission limits for the making of phosphoric acid, a common ingredient in synthetic fertilizer. This rollback will allow more mercury into the air, which is wrong because mercury is a neurotoxin, a poison. So this is another rollback that threatens our health. So I would like to do an example of our Call It Out challenge. So I would like to call out Andrew Wheeler, a former coal lobbyist who is now the head of the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency. The EPA took away MATS, mercury and air toxic standards. I've talked about this in previous panel discussions. So Wheeler claimed that reducing power plants toxic pollution is not worth the cost to industry, like despite the thousands of lives that would be saved because of this rule. So removing the MATS rule is bad because mercury can affect the developing brains of children, which can result in permanent neurological damage and a loss of IQ. Children who live near power plants will be exposed to these toxins, and that is just heartbreaking to hear. I would also like to call out those in the Trump administration that purposely rolled back regulations that harm children, workers, and the public. And now here is Jonah to share some good news about a local project.
Hi there, I'm Jonah, working with Team 4, working to protect clean water. And the theme of tonight's panel discussion is to protect what you love. One of the things that I love is the beauty of California's coastline. So when you hear about some good news in that area, we have to share it. And so the news is that Oceanside has been awarded a $175,000 federal grant for a wetlands restoration project near one of our beaches here. This will restore about 6 acres with improved habitat, trails, informational signs, and possibly a connection to a coastal rail trail, which is a local long trail for biking and walk. This project will also improve the existing hydrology of the area and restore much of the habitat. It involves excavating about 8,700 cubic yards of disturbed infill to create new wetland and upland zones, the removal of invasive vegetation, and installing a diverse palette of native plants to colonize this new habitat and provide a wildlife refuge. Benefits of this wetlands enhancement include new expanded wildlife habitat, improved quality of the water in the wetlands, and protection against flooding from sudden stormwater flows into the creek, which then drains into the ocean. Loma Alta Creek, which is where this wetlands project is happening, supports about 100 different species of wildlife, including several threatened and endangered species. It's also a beautiful place to be. It's along a street in Oceanside and has a parking lot and restrooms, a coffee shop even, and it's a place where residents of the city can really take pride in their community now and see firsthand the effects of what federal money can do to our ecosystems and improving them and restoring them. This project was one of 46 nationwide to be funded this year by the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation's Coastal Resiliency Fund, and it's great news. So thanks so much for listening. Here's Anna.
Thank you, Jonah. That's very exciting. We value people protecting what they love. Hi, everyone. My name is Anna again. I work with all teams on statistics. And so next I'll be talking about the These Are the Hands contest, which is open to everyone of all ages. We hope you will join us in making a drawing and decorating a hand to recognize, honor, and lift up people working for change and to make life better for others. Everyone is encouraged to participate and honor someone making a positive difference in their school, community, city, state, or generally in our world. You can draw and decorate a picture of a hand, as well as add symbols, words, and pictures to honor their work. Later in this panel discussion, Judith, an artist from our youth board here at cleanearthforkids.org, has drawn hands for those working for clean air because #KidsBreatheHere. Clean air and clean, safe water should be available to all of us, but unfortunately, hazardous pollution is dumped in low-income communities and communities of color. Later, we will be shouting out Clean Earth for Kids champions who are working hard to protect our air and water. We also have some more good news to share. The Trump administration is to cancel its plan to dredge San Francisco Bay for tar sand oil tankers. This is really important because if the project continued, it would have had detrimental effects to public health and wildlife in the surrounding communities. We also have some additional good news to share with everyone, and so that is that the Pebble mine has been stopped. We are so happy that last week the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers rejected the Federal Clean Water Act permit application for the disastrous Pebble mine, stating that the proposed project is contrary to the public interest. Alaska's pristine Bristol Bay and its native communities are not protected. They would have been destroyed by this proposed gold and copper megamine that would have dumped billions of tons of mining waste into the rivers, lakes, streams, and wildlands of Bristol Bay. Bristol Bay salmon are a lifeline for the native people, the Yupik, the Dena'ina, and Aleutians Teak tribes, the region's pristine wilderness and abundant wildlife, which includes brown bears, whales, and majestic bald eagles, and the $1.5 billion a year commercial fishing industry. Indigenous communities and powerhouse organizations like NRDC, Sierra Club, Earth Justice, and many others standing up to protect what they love. We called them out and explained why this was harmful to Indigenous people and this pristine land. So emails, calls, letters, speaking to representative works. We still need permanent protection for Bristol Bay. President-elect Biden vowed to protect Bristol Bay and all it offers to Alaska, our country, and the world. We will be writing letters of thanks, support, and what we are fighting for. It is incredible that the largest mining companies in the world walked away. So this includes the Mitsubishi Corporation, Anglo American, Rio Tinto, and First Quantum Minerals. Mining is incredibly harmful to these areas that must be protected. Remember that Morgan Stanley stopped over 99% of its shareholding in Northern Dynasty Minerals. The Army Corps of Engineers with tens of thousands of messages urging that agency to reject the permit for the project. Thank you, and now here is Leanna.
So we have some more great news of people standing up. We would first like to shout out California and the California Air Resource Board for their leadership. It's exciting to know that California has the early adoption of the world's first zero-emission vehicle mandate. In the late 80s and 90s, we have discovered that, and we have more important work to do. When California leads, the world soon follows. So the California Air Resource Board, or CARB, under Board Chair Mary adopted this advanced clean truck rule requiring manufacturers to ramp up production of zero-emission trucks powered by electrical batteries or hydrogen fuel cells. Now that is what I like to call leadership. And Governor Newsom issued an executive order that all new cars and passenger trucks sold in California will be zero-emission vehicles by 2035, and all medium and heavy-duty vehicles will be zero emission by 2045. So that's some really big news, really exciting to hear that, we're trying to, put out these standards out there, and hopefully as leadership, as a state of leadership, a lot of other states and places around the world will also follow. So here's Anna to talk a little bit more about another action we want the governor of California to do.
Thank you, Leanna. So AB 345 is a bill that would require July 1st, 2022 to adopt regulations to protect public health and safety near oil and gas extraction facilities. As we know, California Assembly member Almer Tsuchi sponsored AB 345. We are talking again about AB 345 because more than 5.4 million Californians live within 2,500 feet of oil and gas operations. We need to stop this exposure to the pollutants released during oil and gas production. Kids should not have headaches, nosebleeds, dizziness, skin, nose, and eye irritation, and other short-term effects, or also the long-term effects, the long-term exposure effects of asthma, cancer, heart problems, and be at a higher risk for viruses such as COVID-19. We have a petition that is going to Governor Newsom. We need to remind him that more than 5.4 million Californians sheltering in place within a mile of oil and gas production must be protected. Did you know that California law allows oil and gas wells, pump jacks, and storage tanks to be located right next to playgrounds, schools, healthcare clinics, daycare centers, and homes? Governor Newsom can make an executive decision to protect public health, establish setbacks, and keep oil and gas activities from being 2,500 feet from schools, daycare centers, homes, clinics, and hospitals. 2,500 feet is the bare minimum recommended by the California Council on Science and Technology in its 2015 report on health and environmental impacts from oil and gas production. Yes, and I think we have some references to share as well. Thank you, and here is Leanna.
Thank you, Anna. So yes, working to get this passed is so important because public health and safety is so intersectional. Public health includes environmental health and people's health, as environmental health concerns like air pollution, just like regular pollution like oil pollutions and stuff, all influence the health of us and the health of others, as well as the health of our planet. So it's really important that we prioritize this. As we've seen, public health is also dealing with infectious diseases, like right now. It's just so important that we, put this at the forefront. So thank you for discussing that. And here is Jonah to talk about why we cannot roll back safety standards for toxins, as the Trump administration has done already. So there you go, Jonah.
Thank you. So I want to bring up toxins in our water supplies and things like that. It's really important that for a ton of reasons that we regulate these. And though many industrialized nations have banned persistent organic pollutants, which are a type of toxins that stay present in our water supplies and the earth for a very long time. And their persistence troubles marine mammals and increasingly human beings worldwide. Overwhelming evidence indicates that heavy metals such as mercury and other persistent organic pollutants, such as polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxins, and more recently, flame retardants or PBDEs. All four of these POPs have an unfavorable impact on reproductive health, immune and endocrine function, and are carcinogenic, which is deadly to the heart, for marine mammals as well as human beings. So an example of that is carcinogens are present in the environment of beluga whales in northeastern Canada in a place called the St. Lawrence Estuary. And this is a huge problem because scientists have been finding higher and higher levels of man-made chemicals in marine mammals like these beluga whales. In recent years, marine mammals have been victims of mass mortalities, alarming population declines. These events have caused those who study marine mammals to expand their studies to the impact of chemically induced immune suppression. So this is emerging as a contributing factor in these mass die-offs and these population losses. We're condemning marine mammals to death from viral agents that are common in the environment but are normally harmless because of the fact that they are taking in these toxins and weakening their immune system. It makes them more susceptible to viruses that normally wouldn't have really any effect on them, but since their immune system is so weak, they die from it. During the late winters of 2007 and 2008, in two separate unusual mortality events, more than 200 bottlenose dolphins washed ashore near Galveston, Texas. And the cause of this is yet unknown, but it's worth speculating that the effect of toxins had an impact on this death. In a report that stunned many, the February 2008 issue of Science reported that the impact of humans has now reached every square mile of the Earth's oceans and has strongly impacted 40% of marine ecosystem. And the implications of this are ominous for ocean creatures and humans alike. Some 100,000 synthetic chemicals are in use today around the world, with another 100,000 being introduced into the environment every year. More than 90% have never been tested for their effects on human health, but there's abundant evidence that many of these chemicals have serious and even deadly impacts on wildlife and us. Chemicals can enter the marine environment in many different ways, whether that's a fertilizer runoff, or use of pesticides in agriculture, something we've talked about a lot in these panel discussions. Even like home gardening and maintenance can cause deadly toxins to leak into the water supply. Industrial waste, dumping and airborne emissions, and even chemicals like flame retardants used in everyday products are carried all around the globe by wind and water currents. In San Francisco Bay here in California, harbor seals have some of the highest level of toxins ever recorded. A doubling time of 1.8 years was reported in the blubber of harbor seals in San Francisco Bay between 1989 and 1998. The contaminants in our water are not limited to heavy metals and organic chlorine toxins. When drinking water for 41 million Americans was tested by the Associated Press in 2007, pharmaceuticals were found in alarming quantities in our water. These pharmaceutical medicines included antibiotics, mood stabilizers, and 6 different types of hormone. Tests were conducted in the nation's 50 largest cities and smaller water providers in all 50 states. So this problem exists all over America. A major focus of bluevoice.org, which is a website that's working to identify the locations in which marine mammals have displayed high levels of these toxic chemicals, or places where they've been victims of mortality events and high death rates. In many of these areas, they've found also correspondingly human cancer clusters. And we're collaborating with experts in human medicine to identify the correlation between contamination in marine mammals of these toxins and diseases, especially cancer in humans. This is, since, we found that the genome of humans and animals, such as dolphins, are very similar. It makes sense that toxins that affect them could have similar effects on us. Dr. Gregory Bossart of the Harbor Branch Research Institute and his colleagues have found that many toxins found in dolphins have caused serious reproductive issues and hormonal issues. It's important to remember that clean fish is a very important component of a healthy human diet. They can provide omega-3 fatty acids and many other benefits, but that's only true if the fish are relatively free of contamination. Wild fish with high levels of omega-3 fatty acids are regarded as a heart-healthy thing to eat. That's not the case at all when they contain high levels of mercury and these other toxins like I've been talking about. These can disrupt our central nervous system's control of our heart, and which is obviously a serious detriment to our hearts and also the hearts of marine mammals who eat these fish. In the spring of 1987, bottlenose dolphins began washing up on the coast of New Jersey. And this is another example of an enormous and highly alarming die-off of hundreds and perhaps thousands of dolphins that has never been satisfactorily explained. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention is conducting a large ongoing survey that has found 148 chemicals in Americans of all ages, including lead, mercury, dioxins, and other PCBs. Other scientists have detected antibacterial agents from liquid soaps and breast milk, urine, and the blood in infants' umbilical cords. In 2005, the Environmental Working Group found that there existed an average of 200 different chemicals in the cord blood of 10 newborns, including carcinogens and neurotoxins. Chemicals such as PCBs are almost virtually undetectable in water, but they magnify exponentially up the food chain so that a top predator might have 25 million times the concentrations found in the water it lives in. That's because, as a fish breathes in these toxins through the water, then it ingests them. And then if a seal eats that fish, or in many more fish, it gets all those toxic chemicals. So as you get higher and higher in the food chain, those chemicals solidify until they become extremely, extremely high quantities and extremely, extremely dangerous. And that's true for us as well as people who, many people eat a lot of meat, and that makes us vulnerable, particularly to high levels of chemicals. Chemicals present in many pesticides, petroleum products, plastics, and products like furniture, computers, and babies' clothing can also even disrupt our endocrinal and hormonal systems. This can result in severe hormonal and reproductive problems. These chemicals are known as xenoestrogens because they mimic the action of naturally produced estrogens, when in reality, they're causing severe problems. Man-made chemical pollutants have also made their way into other types of species in the deep seafood web. Things like squids and octopus that live far down at the bottom of the ocean. These species are food for many of deep diving toothed whales and dolphins, as well as other predators. And in this way, POPs affect multiple levels of the food chain. In a study to be published by the journal Marine Pollution Bulletin, Michael Vecchione of NOAA Fisheries National Systematics Laboratory reported finding chemical contaminants in 9 different species of cephalopods, which are octopus and squid. He said that it was surprising to find such measurable and high amounts of toxic pollutants in such a deep and remote environment of the sea, which speaks a lot to how much these chemicals permeate throughout the ocean, to the point where almost nowhere remains pure from their influence. Cephalopods, squids, and octopi are the primary food for 28 species of toothed whales. Those include sperm whales, killer whales, and beluga whales, as well as dolphins and porpoises. We call on government to address the introduction of toxic chemicals into our environment because it's clear that not only does it affect vastly marine mammals, but it also has serious effects on our hormonal and reproductive health. At this time, there's almost no requirement for the testing of chemicals before they're put into use. If public policy operated under a precautionary principle, then any indication of harm, rather than retroactive proof of harm, would trigger regulatory action. Today, chemicals can be put into our air, our waterways, into baby clothing, and thus into the bloodstreams of all living creatures without prior proof that they're safe, which means we have a lot of work to do. And here's Anna.
Thank you, Jonah, for all the very useful and important information. So Darren and I from Team 5 are currently working on a project to stop the approval of toxic chemicals for use in California. Darren from Team 5 is leading this project, and I'll be providing support. And we're inviting you to help us in sending comments and conducting research on these toxic chemicals and why they should not be used. So this project we're sending these comments to California DPR, the Department of Pesticide Regulation, and we'll be conducting research and sending comments as to why they shouldn't be used on a weekly basis. And so here is Darren to talk more about toxic.
Hi guys, I just want to say something real quick. I don't know if I'm coming through clearly, but I hope so. So I just wanted to say, excellent presentations as always. I wanted to say that there is so much hope. So I'm really excited, Anna and Darren and all of you, about this important work that you're doing with California Department of Pesticide Regulation. And I really need to shout out Jonah right now, because I just have to do it. Okay, because you guys love this story so much. All right, so we care so deeply, right? You've seen, I cry, they're serious, they do the work. So you should have heard Jonah on the call with California Department of Pesticide Regulations. So we're working to restrict, really we want to ban these neonicotinoids, what we call them, neonics. And we're on the phone with California Department of Pesticide Regulation. And so Jonah calls in and he wants to know, and he asks them, so what nonprofits have you been talking with and working with? We need to talk about human health, because we were talking about, Cal DPR was talking about how the bees were affected. And Jonah's done a lot of work with that. We've had a speaker talk about the effects of pesticides on bees and how that wipes out our food, our economy, makes us sick, etc. So anyway, very sad that they were not presenting information on human health effects. And because, I've been poisoned by pesticides, turned my life upside down. That's why I started Clearing for Kids. Anyway, had to move from my home. I thought it was going to, not make it. Past a year, but here I am and I'm doing fine. So anyway, but on the call, Jonah held their feet to the fire and asked, well, who have you talked with? And when they didn't answer, he called them back on the phone during the meeting, and it was just absolutely beautiful. So, Judith spoke up and she was there, Leanna, others, Jillian, so many of us are on these calls. So what Anna and Darren are doing is, and our other Darren, we have two Darrens spelled exactly the same way, and they both work on pesticides. They both love math. They love chemistry. They are just, so, it's crazy. But anyway, yeah, we love our Darrens. Anyway, so what they're doing is they're writing in to oppose bringing on new pesticides and chemicals, and also fighting existing pesticides that come up for reapplication. And guys, this only takes maybe 15, 20 minutes a week if you pick one. They are so organized and on it. I mean, was there ever any doubt? I mean, you guys, if you don't know Anna, and if you don't know the people on this youth board and these interns, they are absolutely incredible and amazing. Anyway, so the other day when John and I were working on a project, I said, oh no, someone else was working on a project. I said, they need an Anna, because I mean, just so incredibly organized. And when Darren was putting this together, I mean, just the lickety split. I mean, it's really organized and I'm really excited about it. So if you'd like to help stop pesticides in the state of California, which is a leader, as Leanna mentioned, then definitely take part. And I have to shout out Leanna, of course, for her work with invasive species and something called solarization, just putting a dark tarp on top of the invasive species instead of using pesticides, which she found to be effective. And of course, we love that. And of course, we'll shout out Catherine and others working on trails and doing important work. So you guys are so amazing. So anyway, I just wanted to say, shout you guys out, and thank you for the important work. We're also working on projects in Hawaii and many other states and places. So we're excited for you to join us. So Darren, if you would like to talk more about what you're doing with pesticides and chemicals, trying to get these things banned, and also healthy soil, because Healthy Soil Day is coming up on the 5th, that would be great.
Yeah, so I'm Darren from Team 5, and as Anna said, we're working on a project to stop toxic pesticides in the state of California. And so what we are currently doing is we receive the pesticides that they're trying to reapprove, and we will go over and research the active ingredient that they list in these new pesticides being released. And using our evidence, we can look online to create emails with reasons why we oppose these pesticides that are being proposed. One thing that kind of concerns us is that they're only allowed to release just the active ingredient. And so sometimes, even though there are other ingredients that they think aren't active or that have no effects, is that maybe in combination with each other, there are things that we don't really know that could also have bad effects on people other than the active ingredient. And so one reason why we're doing this is because California is like a leader for the world, and California produces a large percentage of the food that's eaten in the US. So the soil and the pesticides that we use are pretty important for the world, basically. And so just by spending 20 to 40 minutes a week can make a big difference. And we can email you the instructions and you can get started. Also, World Soil Day is celebrated around the world on December 5th. So we can raise awareness about why healthy soils are needed. You can check out our other Darren's YouTube videos on healthy soils. There are 3 videos that Darren created for different levels, and these listed lessons go with the NGSS, the Next Generation Science Standards. Darren worked to use different vocab words to make her lessons accessible. Healthy soils give us nutrients for our food and sequester or absorb carbon dioxide and help break down toxins. Healthy soils affect the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, and our health. As we are preparing for Healthy Soil Day, we become aware that it seems the pesticide industry is trying to sell pesticides on Healthy Soil Day. We are very concerned about what is being shared regarding healthy soil. As you know, synthetic or man-made pesticides destroy healthy soil. Pesticides get into our groundwater, streams, rivers, and oceans, and harm aquatic life and our drinking water. In future weeks, we'll be talking with guests about organic and regenerative agriculture and giving you many tips and ideas. In the meantime, you can check out our website at cleanearthforkids.org. So if you go to the website, you go to Team 5, and you can look at that 3 bars in the upper right-hand corner, and you click on that, scroll down to Team 5, and click on Stop Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals. Also, next week on December 10th, there's a Prop 65 Developmental and Reproductive Toxicant Identification Committee that will discuss chemicals being used and its safety concerns about safety water and reproduction. They will also prepare hazard identification materials and announce future decisions in a later meeting. Now, here's Judith.
Sorry. So hello again. So last month, Jonah taught us a lot about fracking, and we discussed the film, The Story of Plastics. If you have not seen this movie, it is important. So most all plastic comes from fossil fuels, which pollute or poison communities, the air, our water, and land. Petrochemical companies are located in low income and mostly in communities of color. So this is a very serious problem. We all are working to reduce and eliminate plastics. A couple of months ago, we learned from Jillian and about different types of plastics and what can and cannot be recycled. Later, we will review and have some special guests. Jillian asked us about our plans to reduce plastics. With the holidays coming, we think about all the plastics that we can avoid. How can we reduce plastics? Did you know that toy sales in the United States increased by more than 15% in the first half of 2020? And the surge is expected to continue into the holidays. The problem is that with so many more toys being sold, there is a lot more plastic in the environment. Roughly 90% of toys are made from plastics, and that plastic tends to stick around a very long time. So how many toys go to the ocean? There are wooden toy companies that source their wood sustainably with non-toxic glue, plant-based. Some of the big toy makers are also moving toward greater sustainability. So Lego is all plastic now already, now already introduced bricks made from sugarcane. Did you know that Lego has a program to make sure bricks stay in circulation too? You can send back those old sets. The company will sort and clean the bricks and then redistribute them through charities like Teach for America. In fact, selling, donating, and buying used might be the best ways to rein in your environmental footprint when it comes to toys. So if you don't want to buy used toys, you can still donate them. Women's shelters or thrift stores, the Marine Toys for Tots Foundation also accepts used toys in good condition and passes them on to families who can't afford to buy new ones. Another possibility is second chance toys. Thinking about the holidays and the new year, the New York Times is asking us about our New Year's resolutions. They want to know in one sentence that what you're planning to do differently in 2021. Your personal climate pledge, if you will, whether big or small. You might use your contributions for a project on personal resolutions. Please include your name and the state you live in, and then send it to, I'll put in the chat. Okay, so I will now show you the hands for that I drew for the people doing extraordinary work to help others. So we would like to shout out a few cleanearthforkids.org champions working for change. So these are the hands for Almar Asucci. Next is Xavier Basara. Next is Jay Kloppenstein. Next is Caitlin McCoy. And last but not least, here is Dr. Polly. So next is Anna to talk about some actions you can take. Thank you.
Hi again, this is Anna. There are 4 actions that you can take that I'll be listing out for tonight. And the first one would be to tell banks to stop financing Amazon oil. So banks finance drilling and pumping of over 155 million barrels of oil from the Ecuadorian Sacred Headwaters region of the Amazon headwaters. So this region is home to more than 500,000 people whose only source of food and water is being polluted. And so the link in the chat for you to take part in that action and to stop covering fossil fuel projects. So insurers like AIG, Liberty Mutual, and Travelers cover coal, gas, and oil projects while supporting lobbying to stop climate legislation. And so if you'd like to participate in that action, we'll also be adding that in the chat. And so the third action that you can participate in for California residents is to stop the Delta tunnels. So proposed tunnels would run under the Sacramento-San Joaquin Delta. And so tunnels could move 2/3 of the Sacramento River and cost at least $16 billion. So this project would devastate San Francisco Bay ecosystem, threaten hundreds of wildlife and plant species, local fisheries, and the Bay's $5.2 billion agricultural economy. And the Metropolitan Water District is meeting to decide to fund the next phase of the project. So if you'd like to participate in this project, we'll also be adding that into the chat. And the last action I'll be discussing with you guys tonight is for California residents also to ask California Governor Newsom to protect children from fossil fuels. So the California Council on Science and Technology recommends at least 2,500 feet setback between oil and gas production in schools, daycare, center homes, clinics, and hospitals. So active oil wells put out cancer-causing chemicals, asthma-triggering emissions, and are at risk for fire and explosion. So more than 5.4 million Californians live within a mile of oil and gas production. And so as we talked earlier, if you would like to participate, all of the links are in the chat. And thank you, and hope to have you guys on board.
Briefly, I'm just going to discuss some actions you can take. We are in a global pandemic, so now more than ever is a great time to, educate yourself and learn more and relax. And I think these podcasts do a wonderful job at not only giving information, but also showing that people care and are trying their best for solutions, which is great for reducing climate anxiety, which is a really big problem nowadays. So I think this is a wonderful way to get educated and also reduce that. So the Hip Hop Caucus, if you've been on previous panel discussions before, we've hosted former EPA member Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali. He is a part of this Hip Hop Caucus, and they have a podcast show called Think 100%, The Coolest Show. And these two episodes, specifically episodes 42 and 43, are about Youth v. Gov and Biden's climate agenda. So Youth v. Gov is essentially sort of a movement that kind of corresponds with the Juliana versus the United States Supreme Court case that's going on, and where a lot of youth are basically suing the government for not taking care of our planet, for not, providing us with what we need to live, basically. And there's a lot of different litigations and stuff behind it, but they also they discuss that, and then they also discuss Biden's climate plan, which Biden is the president-elect, so there's a lot of interesting information that also goes into depth with that, and they do a wonderful job at discussing it, as Suzanne said. And then we also have the Youth v. Gov film, which documents the 21 courageous American youth as they lead the groundbreaking lawsuit against the United States government in regards to climate and so much more. So Suzanne did say that we'd like to offer this to you guys if you'd like. So she can talk to you guys a little bit more about that. But I highly recommend taking this opportunity. It's really empowering, especially for me as a youth, seeing other youth get so involved in fighting for our future and doing it in a way where, they always are intimidated by youth trying to, show like we are going to build coalitions and we're going to fight this back. And they're like, oh, but these are just words. These are youth taking action, serious legal action. So it's really interesting to see, and I'm really excited for it.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for all that you said. And you guys are an inspiration, and we must add you to the Youth Working for Change on our website. And thank you, Nancy Kelly. I just saw your note in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all of you guys. We're almost finished. We've got a few more exciting things to share. And thank you so much for doing that. So we'll go ahead and Leanna, actually, we've got a quote for you about hope. So if you could talk about why you're hopeful. And I love that picture. I just love it. So I love all your pictures, of course. You're just amazing. But yes, if you want to talk a little bit, you shared a little bit about watching other youth get involved, but you might want to talk about a little bit about the San Diego Green New Deal, anyway, some things like that. And then after you share, I think we've got Judith, right? So Judith, and then Judith, if you could share, and that would be great. Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah, of
Leanna.
course. Thank you. So yeah, I did, this quote is like, I'm hopeful for all the people working on climate action and taking the steps we need to divest, reinvest, and put people back to work. So climate action is really important to me. I'm on team 1, so it's climate action plan specifically. So a few of the things that I'm really hopeful about, one is the San Diego Green New Deal. It's like a coalition of different organizations and people working specifically towards one of the biggest new things is the climate action plan, specifically the San Diego climate action plan. They're looking to renew that soon. So we are going to try our best to put our best efforts to make sure that this climate action plan has everything it needs to. If you don't know what a climate action plan is, it's basically, you can have them for cities, school districts, states, countries, basically any type of level of government or organization. And it sets out the plans to reduce greenhouse gases and related climatic impacts and so forth, and just lays out a plan of what that organization or that city or state or government is going to do to try to reduce those possibilities as much as possible while also moving in a more sustainable direction. So I'm hopeful for San Diego Green New Deal. They're doing amazing work, always working really, really hard. Climate Action Campaign, does an amazing job at, kind of educating the public on what these climate action plans mean, how well they're doing. They provide ratings. I've discussed those in really, really early panel discussions before. But I'm also really hopeful and excited for all these universities and organizations working on divestment, which is taking money out of fossil fuel companies, and reinvestment and putting those into renewable energy companies and more sustainable sources. So divestment is really important. It sends a message to fossil fuel companies that we're not going to allow this pollution of our earth, the taking away of our future. And we want to reinvest in energy sources and people that are doing good work to make sure that we have a sustainable future. So that's really what I'm hopeful for and thankful for all these people working on all these amazing things and really getting some of the really hard work done. So yeah.
So I'm hopeful for of non-profit organizations, such as Earth Justice, Sierra Club, and because of people like California Attorney General Xavier Becerra working so hard to protect us. I also think that that the youth around the world, especially at this time, are more aware of climate change and our environment and are taking action. It's not written there, but I'm also thankful for like students learning more about our environment, like learning biology, environmental science, and now ethnic studies.
Thank you so much. So what we would like to do, yes, that's awesome. And I was just thinking on there too, Judith, about how important it is. You have Xavier Becerra on there, and we talk so much about Alma Asuci. And so when he'll be on with us soon. So I love those quotes of hope that you guys have. It's so awesome. Yeah, so beautiful and amazing. But before we hop off tonight, I'd like to do a special shout out for Sydney Pitcher for sharing and sending her fantastic petition. And I know Anna was going to share that earlier and talk about that. I don't know if she did. I had that chance just because we have so much to share and people get busy and things, and she did such a nice job. But I don't know if that was shared. So thank you, Sydney. That was, thank you so much for your heart, your care, and all you do to inspire all of us. Thank you so much. So before we hop off, what I'd like to do is I'd like to connect with, I'd like to hear from, of course. Okay, hold on. I need a different view, and I don't know how I can do that. So I'd love to hear from, so I'm gonna take a screenshot. This is what I'm gonna do of all you guys right there. Yeah, and Anna had to hop off, and I know John Williams, is John Williams still on the call as he was studying, or are both of those yours? So anyway, okay, yeah, he's no longer on. Okay, yeah, had to hop off to study big tests and stuff tomorrow, just like Jonah has. So anyway, and thank you for being here. But before we hop off tonight, I know, Courtney, I'll start with you. So Courtney, I know that, we were so lucky to learn about your beautiful daughter and hear about your future in public health. We're so excited about that and excited about the things that you share with us. Always great presentations and lots of information. So we're making slides that we'll share on our website and social media about protect what you love and also hope. And you saw an example of Judith and Leanna's, and also about why we're glad that the rollbacks, have left us. So if you could talk just a minute about your thoughts as a mom and as a student of public health about your feelings, your hope, what you'd like to share and why you do the work you do, that would be great.
Sure. So I'm hopeful for one, just to continue on the fight of having clean air and reducing air pollution, especially for, I guess, communities of color, because it really impacts those communities and it really impacts children and their development for like their cognitive development and just their development all around. And I think it's really important that we continue to do what we're doing for the children of our future generation, because they are a future generation and they are going to make changes in the world, future leaders and all that good stuff. And I have a 3-month-old daughter, and I just want her to be able to grow and develop in a healthy environment. I am doing this so she doesn't, hopefully it gets to the point where she doesn't have to like grow and develop with any interference with air pollution. And it's really sad because I feel like it's something that if we can all come together, it's something that we can dramatically reduce and can control. Public health is my passion. I am going to grad school for it. And that's another reason why I do this, because I feel like in the realm of public health, you don't really see too much about like clean, like having a clean habitat, or like cleaning our habitat, or air pollution, things like that. It's more related to, I guess, more of the medical field and diseases. But I feel like this is kind of like the start of it. So that's pretty much why I'm here and why I do what I do. And it's just really important to me, like children and their health. They're our future, and it's awesome and important that we protect them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Darren, would you like to share?
Yeah, so for me, I am hopeful because I know that researchers from UCSD and Scripps and the next generation of youth believe in climate change are actively trying to protect our Earth. And this is because sometimes it's pretty sad to see that like people are trying to deny it, and there's so much research like being done to prove that. And what gives me hope is that the next generation, which is basically us, is actually believe in it, and we are like going to be the heart of the change when we grow up. So it gives me hope that we believe in it, so that we can do something when we get older.
We're so excited that you'll be going in the medical field and that you love chemistry. Maybe you'll be working at the EPA or the NIH, or one of these great places doing important research, or working as a doctor. Whatever you choose, we've got your back. We're so grateful for your important work, and thank you for your attention to detail and all that you do. So thank you so much. So thank you. So Jonah, would you like to share?
Yeah, I'm hopeful for a lot of reasons, but one that is close to home is that I'm really thankful for examples of really good policymakers, like the one where I live, Representative Mike Levin, who has done a lot to fight offshore drilling, something that is really important to me as a resident of California. I'm really thankful for his example and that of others. There are a lot of great policymakers who have chosen to use their positions of influence to protect our natural resources and the beauty of our world.
Thank you so much. And I'm so excited when Al Marasucci comes on, and when Congressman Levin comes on as well, and Senator Tom Udall and others. I know there's so many people that are so proud of you that you don't even know. I mean, it makes me cry thinking about it. So so just so beautiful. I know you love the ocean, and obviously kids and all that. So when you're out there, I hope it gives you a peace of mind to know that we're working really hard and doing our best and trying to collaborate with all that we can, all the people that we can, and that we don't take money from fossil fuels or big chemical or pesticides. And we are often approached, and it's just integrity has to be what we do, because we're building for the future. Because Clean Earth for Kids, I mean, this is for you. You will continue this work on, and then you will mentor people. So we've got to have that solid board policy that Leanna's worked on, Judith's worked on, Anna's worked on, we've worked on, and that we have to stay true to that. And that's just really very important. So Judith, would you like to share? And so you could share what you're hopeful for, what you'd like to protect, and the reason why you do your beautiful art, and anything else that you wanted to share, and then you can wish everyone good night. I'd like to say real quick, it was in the email, at 6:30, there's a building electrification meeting being held called Climate Hub. And that's a group that has San Diego 350 and others in it, and Climate Action Campaign, talking about building electrification. And so that is available on the email that I sent. And if you need that link, then you can join it. I'm going to join it for a little bit. Of course, I want to say hi to Jay and Sydney and others as you guys hop off. And then I need to hop onto that call. Tomorrow, there is going to be a summit, a clean energy summit leadership thing that I'm going to all day. And so there's so many meetings all the time and cool stuff that's being presented. If you're ever interested in clean air, clean water, want to learn more about actions that you can take, there's stuff going on, important things in Indigenous communities and all over that, actions that we can take and how we can support people of color, our Native American, friends and neighbors, because we're all, it's about being a good neighbor, right? having respect for the land, for the air, for the water, and the things that we hold true, as Courtney was talking about with public health and for all these guys. So anyway, so back to you, Judith. So Judith, you please share with us what you'd like to share, and then you can close us out. And then I'll have John. We have so many Johns, but I'll have our John, my John here, add people on so they can speak as panelists. And so thank you so much again for being on here, or being here, you guys. And I'm so excited for all the art and music and stuff like that. So I'll add you guys if you'd like to, if you're still on. Good luck on your test tomorrow, Jonah, and good luck to all of you guys studying. So, okay, Judith, what would you like to say?
Maybe I would talk about my art, like why I draw. So I want to, since I'm not really a talkative person, like I'm shy and stuff like that, I want to convey like what I want to say through like a piece of paper. And I want to like inspire people to take action and like speak their voice, like even though like my way of speaking is through my art. And yeah, I just want to inspire like the youth, or not only the youth, like adults, whoever, yeah. And yeah, I just want like people to be like, encouraged or something like that. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Do you want to tell everyone good night, wish them well, and encourage them? Oh, I need to encourage us too. Remember to follow us on social media. Okay. So I know that we get so busy. I get so busy as well. Yeah, so we have to follow us on Twitter, and I mean, go and look and see our announcement from today that you were here. So go on there, all that stuff. Give yourself a positive comment. Anyway, so yeah, we need to do that. And anyway, you guys are so amazing. Thank you so much. So yes, Judith, I'm sorry I've been so talkative tonight. I try really hard not to share. I really do. And tonight I give myself an F, okay? I have talked so much. I am so sorry. I tried really hard. And tonight I just couldn't do it. I apologize. Anyway, okay. So Judith, if you can close us out, that would be great.
I hope everyone stays safe during this time and just wear a mask, because you never know. I hope you also get informed, like educated about our environment and stuff like that, because it's important. Youth, okay, what should I say? So youth board and interns will probably be like hopping off right now and studying, eating. So yeah, thank you everyone.
You're welcome to stay on the call. I'll be on the call for a few minutes. Thank you, Judith. It's so important that we all, practice our stuff. I don't do a good job sometimes with what I'm trying to say, and I apologize for that. For tonight, I'll get more sleep and do better next time. Thank you guys so much. You were amazing, all of you. And so thank you so much. Okay, well, have a great night. And then John's gonna have people hop on, and I'll see you soon. And if you want to meet this weekend or whenever, please let me know. We have a lot of cool stuff to work on. Okay, all right, good night.